A few students have told me they either can't make it or, some other students wanted to come to this, but their regular dryer coaching is Fridays at 9, so they could not join us. So I'm going to send this link to them. But learning a language just takes lots of environment. Honey, what is environment in Chinese? Environment.
环境.
Huanjing, exactly. Yeah, it just takes lots of environment and lots of time. And so the more you spend with the language, the better you'll get it. And so I appreciate you guys being here tonight, or those who are watching by video. Also, learning a language, you have to know the culture of the country. Sean, what is culture in Chinese? I know you know this.
文化.
Exactly. You've got to know the culture. And a big part of culture is holidays. Can you imagine if somebody wants to learn Chinese? Like when I learned Chinese, I'm still learning it. Okay. Was it important for me to learn about Chinese New Year and Moon Festival and Dragon Boat Festival?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It'd be crazy to say, I'm learning Chinese, but I don't want to hear about Autumn Moon Festival. I don't care about Chinese New Year. That's ridiculous, And so when you learn English, you should be knowing about holidays in the English-speaking world, okay? For America, July 4th. For a lot of the world, Christmas. And we'll be looking today at a holiday called Easter. Easter.
And have an April Fool's Day. The 1st of April.
That's right. Tomorrow is April Fool's Day. Honey, do you plan to trick somebody?
One of my friends did, but I do not.
What? But it's not April Fool's Day yet. Today's March 31st.
Oh, no, I said tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So you think a friend will try to trick you?
No. To trick somebody else. He told me.
Oh, he told you he'll trick somebody else. Okay. But you don't want to pull a prank? Pull a prank means play a joke. Means do a joke. Or play a trick. All these words mean that. So you will not play a trick on somebody, honey?
No.
Why not?
Because if I play a trick, maybe if the people were so serious, he would not be friends with me anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's a trick that makes him angry, maybe so. Well, Sean, do you plan to play any tricks on anybody tomorrow?
Yep, you.
Oh,
what a pity tomorrow is Saturday. What a pity.
What a pity. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I'll be on my guard then, Sean, for any emails or line messages from you. I'll be careful if you try and play a trick on me tomorrow. Okay. Well, great to see you guys. So tonight's class is about Easter, and I realized that Sean, you're Taiwan. You're a high school student. Honey is in Shenzhen. She's much younger than you are, so you guys are different ages, and your English is both good, but you've had more time to learn English. Sean has, so I realized that. But we'll just try to, as far as the English level, give you something that's good for everybody. And the main thing is content. Content is Neirong. Content is Neirong. So let's go ahead and just jump right in here, and we have with DreyerCoaching, we have our blog post. Okay. Let's try this again here. Yeah. So on the DreyerCoaching, if you go to the blogs, we have lots of information about holidays. And this is called Easter. Everybody say Easter.
Easter.
Easter. Now be careful. It sounds like the word Eastern. Eastern means Dongfang, okay? Eastern. But Easter is Fuhuojie. So this is an example where the Chinese is much more clear than English, because Easter, what does Easter mean? But Fuhuojie. Oh, 谁复活了? So here's a picture of an empty grave. What is this shape called? What are these things called?
Cross.
Yeah.
Cross. Yeah, 3 crosses, and there's a cloth, an empty cloth. So we'll see where this comes in the Easter story. Okay. And let's have Sean, please read this for us. First sentence.
Easter is the most important holiday in
Christianity. Say Christianity. Yes, yes. Honey, say Christianity.
Christianity.
Oh, very good. Very
Christianity.
clear. Good job. Students, how many syllables is Christianity?
5.
5. Yeah, it's a long word, Christianity. All righty. What is that? What is Christianity in Chinese, Sean?
基督教的
That is correct. That is correct. Yes. Let's take now, Honey, would you please read this to us?
Okay, please give me a little second. Okay. Easter is the time when Christians celebrate the death and
Resurrection.
when he came back from the end of Jesus. His overcoming death gives us the opportunity to have a new life in him. Nature declares his goodness. So just as God gave us new life, so too our nature and plants coming back to life this very spring.
Yes, correct. Okay. So it's like in the springtime, you see plants growing. And this might be a new word for you. Everyone say resurrection.
Resurrection.
How many syllables is resurrection?
Give me the
4. And that here, so when you read English, I wrote this, I thought, our students who speak Chinese, they may not know the word resurrection. The word is or the or celebrate, those are pretty common words. Resurrection is a more rare word. See a word you don't know, keep reading. Sometimes the writer will give you the meaning in parentheses. So resurrection is 复活, means to come back from the dead. 复活. That's what we call in Chinese 复活节. Okay. Now we're going to go to today. We're going to read about the Easter story from the Bible. Now it is in cartoon form. Okay, it's in cartoon form, but please don't be insulted by that. It's not for little kids. And again, in this class, people have different English levels. So even though it's in cartoon form, it still has good content. And this is the story as the Bible tells it about the first Easter, where Easter comes from. And I think for all of you, there'll probably be some new words you will learn. And either way, you're going to be learning about Easter, which is an important part of the English-speaking culture. Okay, this is about the first Easter, Let's take, we say ladies first. Honey, please read the story about a lady.
Okay. The lady stood on her noisy hillside, her sad eyes looking up to a terrible scene. Her son was dying. The mother was Mary, and she stood near the place where Jude was nailed to a cross.
Thank you. Again, what is cross in Chinese, honey? 十字架. That is correct. Do either of you have any new words here? Any new words at all?
No. Oh, wait, why? Why is black?
Why does she look so black?
Yeah.
That's a great, she does look very dark, doesn't she? She does. Here's a question. Do you know in what part of the world did this happen? Think about like Jesus in the Bible times. What part of the world was this?
Jewish?
Okay, Jewish people. And so the Jewish people lived in what part of the world?
Middle East.
The Middle East. Yeah. Do you know what country it's called today?
Israel.
Good job. It's called Israel. And it is in the Middle East, which you call Zongdong. Exactly. Middle East. And so let's find what might be all these all these pictures to show. I'm not sure which one. Here we go. This might be the best. So you have here, like, here's Egypt. What is Egypt in Chinese?
埃及
Good. Here's Saudi Arabia. What is that in Chinese?
沙烏地阿拉伯
Good job. Here's the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea. What is that in Chinese?
地中海
Dizonghai. Good job. Good job. So look at this. The word med means middle, and terrain means land. So look at your, what are called your word stems. 那个字根. So in Chinese it's called 地中海有地中间有海, but English also has kind of the same meaning. It's like the sea that's in the middle of the land. Isn't that cool? So here's Israel. So the Jewish people would have lived here. So they would not be as dark as, maybe people from Southern Africa, but they wouldn't be as light as people from Germany or England or Norway either. So they would have been Asian people. Yazorin. Okay. Now, how dark they were, I don't know. But also think, back in those days, would most people spend a lot of time in the sun or be inside at home all day under the air conditioning?
That's under the sun.
Yeah, out in the sun, probably. No air conditioning, no office job. Life was hard. Life was hard. So if you're outside a lot, you're probably going to be turning dark. Okay. But again, black hair, dark eyes. Good question, Sean. Very good question. Any other new words or questions? Alrighty. At DreyerCoaching, we say always ask questions. Let's take now, Sean, please read this for us.
How did all this happen? How could Jesus and such a beautiful life in such an awful way? How could God allow his son to be nailed to a cross to die there? Did Jesus make a mistake about who he was? Did God fail?
Yeah. What is fail in Chinese?
失败
Shibai. Yeah. What is God in Chinese?
上帝
Shangdi. Yeah. So did God fail? So here's Jesus. He claimed to be God and be from God. Why is he being killed in this terrible way? Any new words here or questions so far? I mean, lots of questions because many people believed in Jesus and they're saying, wait a minute, he's on a cross dying. What happened? What was, what's going on? This is crazy. Did God fail? Okay. Now this goes back long ago. Honey, please.
Okay. No, God didn't fail. Jesus hadn't made any mistake. Jesus always knew he would be put to death by wicked men. Even when Jesus was a baby, an old man named
Simeon
had told Mary that sadness lay ahead.
Yeah, so this is a story of like when Jesus was a baby and this old man said, sad times are coming. What is wicked in Chinese?
邪恶
Oh, yeah, you have good vocabulary. Any questions here or new words?
No.
Okay, great. Sean, please.
A few days before Jesus was killed, a lady came and poured a perfume
Ointment.
ointment on his feet. She's wasting money. The disciples complain. She's done a good work, Jesus said. She did it for my burial. What strange words.
Yeah, so a few days before this happened, before Jesus was killed, this lady came and poured this expensive ointment. Students, what is perfume in Chinese? Perfume.
What? Pardon?
Who knows the word perfume?
In Chinese?
Yes.
香料
Yeah, like do you say 香水?
Yep.
Like a lady put on her, normally a lady. Okay, perfume. Who knows the word ointment?
Like Caesar. That is hard to explain.
It's kind of hard to explain. How would you explain in English, Sean? Ointment.
Like something you paint on your body, or
Yes, it's like
kind
a,
of material you paint on your body. This is hard to explain.
it is hard. It's a thing you put on your body, especially if you're maybe hurt or want to feel comfortable. Ointment, is that called in Chinese gao?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, ointment. Okay. Now some people were complaining. What does complain mean? What does complain, honey? In Chinese?
抱怨
Bao yuan. Yeah. So some said, wait a minute, because this was very expensive. They said she's wasting money, pouring on his feet, on his dirty feet on the ground. He can't use it anymore. Who knows what disciples are? Disciples are like students. In Chinese, it's called mentu. Mentu. So the Bible says Jesus had some students who went with him. Do you know another English word that looks kind of like disciples?
Like discipline, right?
Discipline. Discipline. Yeah. Here's a connection. To be a good student, do you have to have some discipline?
Oh, yep.
Absolutely. Look at this. This is Friday night. And you guys are here getting an enrichment class in English. Did it take some discipline for you to be here tonight?
Yep.
Absolutely. You could be watching TV, you could be on internet, watching videos or whatever, but you're here tonight. You're not smoking, you're not yelling at me, you're not, running around the room crazy, you're sitting still, listening. You have a lot of discipline. So the idea is a student has to have.
I'm not sitting still. I'm laying on the chair.
Okay, well, you're on the chair, but it takes discipline to be there. You're not lying on a bed or screaming or running around the room, So it takes discipline to be a good student. Discipline. Thank you, honey. Okay. All right. Who knows what the word burial is? Burial, to bury. Do you know that, honey?
葬礼
Yeah, good job. Yes, you have a very good. And honey, can you change the camera so I can see a bit more? I'm kind of getting the very top of your hair there. Can you change the camera, please? It would be awesome. Thank you. You guys have good vocabulary. Let's see here. Is this time, is it your turn, honey?
After this, Judas, one of those 12
Disciples.
agreed to betray Jesus to the
Chief priests
for 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah, so in this story, Judas is the bad guy. His Chinese name is Yoda. He's the bad guy. He was one of the students. He was one of Jesus' students, but he decided to betray Jesus. Who knows what betray means?
背叛
What is it, honey?
背叛
I think it's Beipan. Beipan is like to be judged. I think it's Beipan. Did you say Chumai?
Yep. This is probably the same thing in Chinese.
Is it Beipan?
Yep.
Where is it mean?
Really?
Yeah.
Beipan. Okay.
出卖背叛, that's the same thing. Yeah.
Well, here's a question. Let's say a person goes into a 7-Eleven and they steal the money.
Right.
And the police catch him and he goes to the judge, and the judge says, you have to go to jail for robbing a 7-Eleven. Is that Beipan?
He's stealing money.
Yes. So, but if the police catch the bad guy,
right,
and the judge says you have to go to jail for 5 years, would you call that Beipan in Chinese? The bad guys being Beipan.
No, 被判刑.
Beipan okay.
Yep. 刑罚的刑.
Okay. So in English, you'd say he's being judged. He's being judged or being sentenced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Being judged means 被判刑. Yeah.
Beipan. Okay.
Yeah.
Because betray is more like somebody thinks that they can trust you, but they come behind you and they hurt you in a bad way.
Yeah. Yes.
So Chinese is the same
Yeah,
word?
she's right.
Okay, good. Thank you. I learned something new today. That's one reason I love learning. I love being a teacher for many reasons. I learn something new every day. So thank you for teaching me. Thank you. I learn something new every day. Good. So what does the word chief mean?
那些厨师
Well, that's chef. You're close. That's
Oh.
close, honey. CHEF is a chef or a cook. This is chief. What is a chief, Sean, or chief something?
是首席的吗？
Yeah, like a boss.
chief executive.
Yes, chief executive. Yes, like a boss, the top. Okay.
Yeah.
And both of them had the IE, chief priest. And what is a priest?
牧师。
Yes, like a religious leader. Okay. So the chief priests didn't like Jesus. They were jealous. And this guy says, hey, if you give me some money, I will betray him to you. What is silver in Chinese?
银。
Good job. Awesome. Any questions at all? You guys are doing great. Sean, please. Next.
At the Jewish Passover feast, Jesus had his last meal with his disciples.
Disciples.
He told them wonderful things about God and his promises to those who love him. Then Jesus gave bread and a cup for them to share. These were to remind them that Jesus' body and blood were given to bring forgiveness for things.
For sins. Yes. So this is called the Last Supper. There's a very famous painting called The Last Supper.
哦，最后的晚餐。
Yes. Good job, honey. That's where this comes from. 很好的连接。
哦。
Good. Oh, good. See, a smart people, you can make these connections. Good job, honey. So this is where that 那个测的晚餐 comes from. Jesus and his disciples. And they had wine and bread. And that's why today, Christians, 基督徒, who go to church have what's called communion or 圣餐, and they'll drink a cup of wine or bread, not because they're hungry, but it's like 纪念, to remember Easter, to remember Jesus' death for us. Yeah. What is forgiveness in Chinese?
永不忘记的吧？等一下哦。
Oh, that's forgetful. That's forgetful.
是可以
饶恕、原谅。
jiao su, yin liang. Yes. Forgive is the verb. So if you add NESS, what does that do to the word?
Like.
It's what part of speech?
Like.
It's a noun. So, noun is 名词. So forgive is the verb. Forgiveness is the noun. Okay? Because in English, you have that ness and ment and ly and ing, all those endings of the words. Okay? But don't worry, DreyerCoaching can help you. What is sin in Chinese?
Like, 罪吗？
Yes, 罪, like bad things people do. That's correct. So it's all about Jesus forgiving us for our sins. Let's see. This is now your turn, honey, I think.
Then Jesus told his friends that he would be betrayed and they would run away. I don't run away, Peter insisted. Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times, Jesus said.
Yes, this is a rooster. So what is rooster in Chinese?
公鸡。
I love Chinese. Okay, rooster. Deny. He knows to deny me.
Deny 是背叛吗？
否定吧。
I think it's for being. Like to say 不是我. Yeah. So so you say you didn't do it. I didn't do that is to deny something. Okay. Sean.
Later that night, Jesus went to pray in the Garden of
Gethsemane.
Right. Okay. The disciples who were with him fell asleep. Oh, my Father, Jesus prayed, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will.
Yes. Now the word will, how do we normally use the word will?
like I will, he will.
Yeah, I will go to Taipei. I will have class. Exactly. In this, it's a different meaning. What does the will mean here? Like not as I will, but as you will. What does that mean?
愿意哦。
Like what you want. What it's the
Yeah.
E. Yes. So again, will has many meanings. Okay. So there's a special garden. He was praying. His disciples all fell asleep, but he was praying. Oh, honey. This is kind of violent. Honey.
Suddenly, a mob marched into the garden led by Judas. Jesus did not resist, but Peter cut off a man's ear. Quietly, Jesus touched the man's ear and healed him. Jesus knew his arrest was part of God's will.
There's the word will again, like Shangdi did Zi. Good. Honey, pronounce this word again, please, for us.
New.
New. It says like Shinda, same sound, different meaning. Okay. Yeah. What is a mob? Who knows the word
Like
mob? Anybody?
Monster.
Not a monster. Not a monster. A mob is like a big angry crowd. A big group of people who are very angry and very disorganized is called a mob.
Right.
Yeah. So mob, what is marched in? Marched.
No, but very hard to explain.
Hard to explain. Anyone know what it'd be in Chinese?
游行吧。
Yeah, kind of like they walked in. They walked
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Now this is the word march. Okay, sounding fun, but also march is like yoxin, or like soldiers would walk. So this angry mob comes in, and Peter cut off a guy's ear, but Jesus, the Bible says Jesus touched it and put it back. That's a miracle. Sean.
All right. The mob took Jesus to the night priest. Huh? Pardon?
High priests.
Oh, I skipped a word. Oh, to the high priest's house. The Jewish leaders say Jesus should die. Nearby, Peter stood beside the servant's fire and watched. 3 times people stared at Peter and said, "You were with Jesus." 3 times Peter denied it, just as Jesus said he would. Peter even cursed and swore.
Yes, thank you. Okay, who knows the word Jewish?
犹太裔.
Yeah, exactly. That is correct. And that's actually Peter was Jewish. Jesus was Jewish. 耶稣是犹太人. Okay. And so they take Jesus to the high priest. They're outside, and several times said, "Hey, Peter, you're with Jesus. You're his friend." He denied it. What does deny mean?
To say no.
To say no. No, not me. What does to curse mean? To curse and swear.
那个诅咒和发誓。
Good job. To say bad words. He was scared. Okay. Honey.
And just then a rooster crowed. It was like God's voice to Peter. Remembering Jesus' words, Peter wept bitterly.
Yes. So here's the rooster. The rooster crowed. What does it mean the rooster crowed?
公鸡鸣叫.
Yes. Good job. Again, English is a crazy language. So to crow can be like a rooster's call. But do you guys know what a bird is called a crow?
Where?
There's a bird called a crow. You know what it is in Chinese? Or say it again, honey. Did you say it? Yes. Isn't that crazy? So the black ouya is called a crow, but it's also a verb to crow. Okay. What does it mean? What does it mean Peter wept?
Wept is like to wipe away tears.
Oh, that's wipe. That's WIPE. You're close, but it's different. That's to wipe. Wiped away. Wept is the verb to weep. Crying. He was crying.
Oh.
So to wipe, WIPE is 擦一擦, wipe. But to weep is to cry. Those words are close, aren't they? Good
Oh,
job. Okay, Sean.
Judas was sorry too. He knew Jesus was not guilty of any sin or crime. Judas took back the 30 pieces of silver, but the priest wouldn't take it.
Yes. What is guilty in Chinese?
有罪的.
Yes. So Judas knew that Jesus was not guilty and he had regret. But, the priest said, nope, I don't care. Too late now. Uh-oh. Honey, what happened here?
Judas threw the money down and went out and hanged himself.
Yeah. So to hang is he put his neck in that rope and he.
I don't think Judas is bad now.
Well, he felt sorry. Yes. He felt sorry. He had regret, but it was too late. He couldn't. Sometimes in life, you can't. Some things you can do again, some things you can't do again. So for him, he couldn't redo it, but he did feel sorry. Yes.
Is it a cartoon? Is this a cartoon? It's kind of dark story.
It is a dark story.
For a child.
Yeah, but Sean, this is coming straight from the Bible. Yes. Many people, when they read the Bible, they will find out, wow, I had no idea that was in the Bible. So many think, oh, the Bible is just 一些好听的故事. No, it is a dark story. But my point is, to understand Easter, this is part of it. This is part of the Easter story. What, Sean?
You have to understand the story.
Yes, good job. Exactly. You have to understand the story. In English, we say, no, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is the bad and the ugly. Yeah, so you have to know the story. But again, this all comes right from the Bible. It's not just someone's, 故事乱想. This is the Bible story, but put in cartoon form. Yeah, good point. Okay, Sean, please continue.
The priest brought Jesus before
Pilate.
The Roman governor. Pilate said, I have found no fault in this man, but the mob kept crying, crucify him.
Hey, that's a very good pronunciation. So Pilate was actually a Roman official. What is governor in Chinese?
别人是州政府吧?
Like a 州长.
Yeah.
Like every American state has a governor. So in other words, at this time, it was a colony of Rome. 一个殖民地. And so the Roman government sent Pilate to be like the boss, to be in charge of the area. Again, what is a mob? What does mob mean?
A crowd of angry people.
A crowd of angry people. And they were screaming. In this case, crying is like 掉眼泪. What is crying in this sentence, though?
What?
Normally, crying is like cool, right? Like the baby was crying. But in this sentence, what does crying mean? 喊叫. Good job, honey. So English is a crazy language. Cry has many meanings. It's not cool or like I ku wawa cry baby. It's screaming, angry screaming. Who knows what crucify means?
把别人钉在十字架上面.
Yes, that is correct. And here's why. CRUC means cross. 十字架. That's the word stem. CRUC means to cross. It means cross. Yeah. Okay. So again, the dark story, Sean. You're right. But this is it. This is the story. Okay. Honey.
Okay. Finally, Pilate gave in and sentenced Jews to die on a cross. The soldiers punched Jews, spit in his face, and whipped him.
Whipped him.
He made a cruel crown of sharp thorns and pressed it under his head. Then they nailed him to a wooden cross to die.
Okay. You guys had some really good pronunciation. It is pronounced press. It looks like pressed with an ED, but it's pressed. And you said it correctly, honey. You're right. You're right. It's like pressed. You said it correctly. Yeah. So here's Pilate. It says, finally, Pilate gave in. What does it mean to give in?
放
Say it again, please, honey.
弃
放弃. Yeah, to give in, give up means to like 放弃. Okay. Now, what does the word sentence normally mean for in an English class?
句子
Jude's like, read this sentence. In this case, it's a totally different meaning. What is sentence here? It's a verb. It's a
To
legal
like to declare.
to declare, like 审判. Yes, to sentence means to declare somebody is guilty. Like a judge might say, he goes to jail for 3 years. He has a 3-year sentence, or he's been sentenced for 3 years. That's a verb. So totally different from Judza. So again, English is a crazy language, but don't worry. DreyerCoaching can help you. What are soldiers?
士兵
Yes. Okay, like the Roman soldiers. Now, the word punch, what does punch mean?
打
Da, to hit. Now, again, English is a crazy language. Punch is also a kind of drink. You might go to a party, what's called a punch bowl, a big bowl with fruit juice and soda and fruit. That's called punch also. That's the noun. But this case, it means to hit. He was hit. What does spit mean?
吐
Yes. So you're right. See, Sean, dark story. Yeah. So spit in his face. What is to whip?
打还是
Yes. To be hit with a.
回吧
Exactly. You guys have great vocabulary. You know a lot of these words. It's excellent. How about the word cruel?
残暴
Yes, correct. And these are called thorns. Those sharp things on roses, those are called thorns. They pressed this on his head and they nailed him to a cross. Yes. Sean, please.
Jesus always knew he would die that way. He also knew that his death would bring forgiveness for sinners who put their trust in him. Two criminals were crucified beside Jesus. One believed on Jesus and went to paradise. The other didn't.
Yes. What is a criminal?
对
Like a fun rin, a cui rin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Bible says Jesus was hung on this cross and 2 bad guys were on either side. But one said, Jesus, please remember me. And he went to paradise. What is paradise?
天堂
Yes, Tiantang, Le Yuan, exactly. The other did not. Okay. So the idea is that Jesus knew this would happen. Jesus came to die for us. It was not a mistake. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. Honey.
After hours of suffering, Jesus said it is finished and died. His work was completed. Friends buried him in a private tomb.
Tomb. What is suffering?
受苦
Yes. Okay. So he was suffering. It is finished. He died. His friends buried him in a tomb. That's pronounced, the B is silent. You don't pronounce the B. Okay. Tomb. What is tomb in Chinese?
是吧
Like fun mu, like a grave is a tomb. You guys have a holiday very soon. How do you say Qingmingjie in English? Do you know?
Oh,
I have no idea.
Two. You call it,
we have 1 day, 1 extra day to rest.
okay. In English, it's called Tomb Sweeping Day. Sweep is
What?
Saudi. So in English, it's like Fun Mu Saudi Zhi, basically. Yeah,
Right.
that's a translation. Qingmingjie is called Tomb Sweeping Day. Tomb. Any questions so far?
Nope.
You
No,
guys doing great. Sean.
The Roman soldiers sealed and guarded the tomb. Now nobody could get in or out.
Okay, so the
In
Roman
and
soldiers.
okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Does this story really is real?
Christians believe yes. I believe it is true. It's in the Bible. I believe it is true. Christians believe it is true. That's a great question. But honey, that's a thing everybody has to decide for themselves. but it is in the Bible. 在圣经写的。
Maybe it's true or maybe it's not true.
Well,
Depends on
people-
you.
Depends on, yeah, people have different opinions. People have different opinions. I personally believe it is true. I believe this. Now, here's a good word. It says the soldiers sealed the tomb. What does sealed mean here?
把守
Yes, like 封起来。
看管
Yes, okay. Now, there's also a noun called a seal. A seal is a kind of animal. What is that?
海狮那个
Is it
海
high bow?
海象吗？
Maybe, yeah. The animals in the zoo that eat fish. So seal is an animal. In this case, like 封起来, or to close it. Okay. So the soldiers guarded the tomb. Is it Sean's your turn?
If this were the end of the story, how sad it would be. But God did something wonderful. Jesus did not stay dead.
Yes. Okay. So this is where you're asking, honey, is this true or not? It's an amazing story. It is an amazing story. Honey, please.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Honey, please.
Early in the morning of the first day of the week, some of Jesus'
Disciples.
found a stone rolled away from the grave. When they looked inside, Jesus was no longer there.
Yeah. So this is amazing. If you have these soldiers, these Roman soldiers, how did Jesus' body go away? Because these soldiers were such in those days, if you didn't do your job, they would kill you. And so these soldiers had a job to do, but somehow the stone was moved and these people came and the body was gone. Sean, please.
One woman stayed weeping by the tomb. Jesus appeared to her. She rushed back joyfully to tell other
Disciples.
I can tell apart discipline disciples a lot of time. I have no idea. Jesus is alive. Jesus was come back from the dead.
Thank you. Sean, what is your question about the two words?
I was want to pronounce this discipline. I have no idea.
Well, it just takes some practice. But again, disciple is the noun. Say disciple.
Disciples.
Actually, disciples is plural. Actually, discipline could be a noun or a verb. Discipline. Right. Same root word. 同样的词根. Yeah, disciples. You're doing great. So the story goes, they came back and the ladies saw Jesus was alive. He was alive. Honey.
Soon Jesus came to the disciples and showed them his nail-scarred hands. It was true. Jesus was alive again. He forgave Peter for denying him and told his disciples to tell everybody about him. Then he went back to heaven where he had come from.
Had come from.
Yeah,
so the story says that Jesus was alive. And Honey, you asked a great question. Is this story true? Okay, so.
It's not true now.
Well, but like people like Mary and Peter, the disciples, they saw Jesus, and a lot of them ended up being killed later. The Roman government killed a lot of them. So the question would be, if they believe the story was not true, would they die for this? Most would people die for something they know is not true?
Maybe no.
Probably not. I wouldn't want to die for something I knew was not true. So many of these, not all, but many of the disciples later died for their belief. And so some
disciples really real? Is the disciples real?
They were real people. They were real people. And we know their names.
But I still think it's not true too. If the story is true, why Jesus No, what Jesus can predict future. No one in the world can predict future.
That's a great question. The Bible says that Jesus was not a normal person. He was also God. So Jesus knew
I don't
things.
think there is God in the world.
Well,
Yeah,
many
sorry, Ma, I'm atheist.
atheists. Okay, well, many people do not, many people do. And that's a decision for you. You have to make up on your own. But remember when the class began, we said to learn a language, you have to know the culture, right?
Yep.
And in America, maybe I've heard maybe 85 or 90% of the people do believe in God. Not everybody, but
Oh no, in China, maybe 95% of people don't believe in God.
do not. Do understand? Well, we call that different culture, right? 文化不一样. 文化不一样. Different culture. But in America, most do. So this is a good cultural experience. It's a good cultural experience. But I appreciate you two. Even you say you don't believe in God, you were respectful and you heard the story. Because even if you believe it or not, it's important to learn stories and see how other people see things. But this is
Right.
where Easter comes from. This is the Easter story. You guys have been great. Any questions, anybody? Other questions?
Nope.
No.
You guys are awesome. Please write down, you know how we do Dryer Coaching. Tell one thing you learned today. Please write one thing you learned today.
About Easter.
Anything from the class? Anything from the class at all?
Oh,